So, hello everybody. Welcome back to TBH, another day with Bianca.
And Hillary. Sadly, we don't have Tatiana here with us either today. She's been quite busy, and as you can imagine, college life and figuring a lot of stuff out. Sometimes we don't have time for other stuff. And so it's just us today once again. But we're really excited to talk to you about how everything's been going so far. And we're going to catch you up on the realities of our experience as college students so far.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, it's definitely been a roller coaster so far. I cannot believe we're already halfway into the spring semester.
I
It's
know.
crazy, just like having to start prepping and looking forward to next semester and scheduling classes and just, like we're already there. So almost freshman year is almost done. So definitely a shocker.
It's been definitely hard. I feel as though I'm like so behind. I started seeing people talking about their schedules and everything and how schedules are about to like start opening up like the classes. And I was like, I haven't even looked at what I'm gonna do. So I so I'm sitting there like I have kind of an idea, but I haven't really looked into it because I've been so busy with other stuff and like the current classes right now. So as usual, a roller coaster. But you were mentioning earlier that you wanted to talk about something specifically. So do you want to start off with that?
Yeah, sure. I have kind of like a lot of like insight and just personal experience. So last week we like kind of like register for our registration day, which is when you pick classes in college. It's not like in high school where you go and just sit down with a counselor and you register for classes. You do that by yourself. And you have a specific time, a specific date. And if you don't join at that date and time, then pray you get the right classes or the classes that you want because they go by so fast. So I registered the other day, and my registration day is in a month, literally. In a month, I have to start thinking about not only fall, but summer as well. So yeah, it's coming like now. And so I started freaking out because what I did, which I feel like people don't really talk about, one of the hardest parts about college, I believe, is picking your classes and understanding what you have to take, when you have to take it, requirements if you're allowed, because it's not only the requirements for your major, it is definitely requirements for also the school, the state. I'm double majoring, so it's requirements for both majors, making sure they cover both, and it is just so stressful. Mindfulness definitely comes in handy a lot to me whenever I'm like stressing and just not knowing what to do, not finding the help that I need. What I usually do is okay, like just sit back and relax. I usually just take 5 minutes for myself whenever I find myself in that situation and kind of just breathe and tell myself that everything's going to be okay. And I mean, look at all the people that graduate. In the end, I'm going to find my way around and I'm going to find a way to register for classes properly. So, what I did is I love to stay organized. I feel like that is also a part of mindfulness that people don't really acknowledge. Organizing yourself and just organization in general is very important to just be mindful of the things you have to do, getting things done on time, just being responsible with your own things, especially when you're on your own in college. You don't have mom or dad to tell you, hey, did you do your homework? Um, so that's definitely helped. And when I started, my freshman year was actually last fall. I sat down and I wrote down all the classes I had to take, and I kind of made like a semester by semester plan and just threw everything in there. But one thing that happened to me last week, so of course I like to do everything in advance, and I'd like to meet with advisors ahead of time just to make sure, I'm getting what I need in. And I met with a criminology advisor last week, and I was hoping they would tell me, because criminology is one of my majors, and I was hoping they would tell me, hey, you need to take this, and that. And then I would grab those and plug it into my semester plan. Well, that didn't happen. Like I didn't get anything that
Yep.
I needed. He just didn't know what to tell me. So I ended my advising appointment. I was like, okay, so what? So what do I need to take? I'm still unclear. So I started freaking out. I started crying, having a mental breakdown. And I was just like,
Oh,
I can't. Like, but in that case, I reached out to mindfulness and I just sat down,
ooh,
just took a few deep breaths and just told myself that it was all going to be okay. I call my mom, of course, let it all out. As I always say, it's totally okay to ask for help or just ask for support. Even if somebody, because my mom is not a criminology major, she didn't do school here. I'm a first gen student. So it's really hard for her to understand, but just having her support and just me letting it out, it truly, truly, truly helped me. So now I met with another advisor and I'm all good to go. I
Nice.
know what I'm doing. So it really did help just being patient and finding my way around, just staying organized, doing what I know to do and what I don't know how to do, just ask for help.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That's kind of how I felt when I was filling out my registration for the classes for this semester. So that was by the end of the fall semester. It was hard. I mean, once I had gotten an appointment with some advisors, it wasn't that helpful. I ended up figuring out that you have to try multiple different people because they're all like on different kinds of levels as to how much they can help you and how much they can guide you through the whole process. But like you said, one of the hardest things in college is definitely at the end of the day you have to figure it out on your own. And I really like that you mentioned once again that we're first gen students, like a lot of students and prospective college students, so it's even harder because you may have your parents' support or you may not. And so even if you do have their support, it's really hard because some people do have the ability of having the information also on top of the support. So it's definitely really hard to find someone that's not only willing to help you, but also has the proper resources. I have found that trying to figure that out and find the person that's actually an expert on your specific case helps a lot. And I had to do that. And even if I didn't find anyone by the time that I had to choose the classes for this semester, I decided that I needed to make myself the expert because, like you said, you ended up having to like do your whole planning and everything. Because sometimes you're gonna have support, but sometimes it's not gonna be what you need. So you're gonna have to find it yourself and to ground yourself and be like, all right, take a deep breath, let's get this done. Um, I have to choose my classes apparently in 2 weeks, and I found out today. I may be a first year, but I don't really think I'm gonna be graduating in 4 years because I'm only doing one degree. I I'm not about to spend more time than I need to. Law school is more 3 years more, so I'm thinking and no. And so by the time I'm done with the semester, I will be a junior in credits. And so it's very scary because you do get preference in terms of choosing your classes because that's the thing. The more credits you have, so that means technically the higher you are in terms of academic, how many classes you've taken, or the older also sometimes you get preference, so you are able to choose your own classes earlier than the students who just came in or have less credits. And so it just feels like everything is going by so fast, and it can be a little scary because by the time you're a junior, you already have to start looking into potential internships, other jobs, maybe moving out of the dorms. Who the heck knows? So it can be really scary. And something that I have started to try is mindful movements. I'm not necessarily the most active person ever. Um, so I have decided that I have to let some stress out through some form of movements. Some people like to call it yoga or anything that would be of benefit in terms of letting physical stress out. I know that Ben and Bran, they talk about a lot of martial arts and other ways of doing it. Me personally, I prefer like yoga or Pilates, anything along the lines of that. So we are different in that way. And since I started doing that, I have had a couple of friends reach out to me and be like, "Oh my God, I'm trying to be like you, mindfulness and empty your glass with us and all of that stuff." So it's been really funny and a really nice experience so far. But there's definitely ways around the whole pressure of it all because there's a lot of pressure involved. But yeah, it's definitely a lot, and I get that.
I feel like it's so funny that you just mentioned, like, the fact of graduating early and being a junior by the end of the semester. Right before we met, I met with an advisor also who she's my teacher right now, my professor for one of my classes. And, I just
Mm-hmm.
hopped in, I was like, well, like you're teaching this class, you majored in both of my majors. So let's just chat. So I chatted with her. She looked into my academic records and I was telling her how I want to graduate by junior year because same thing, law school is waiting. Those are things that you have to think about ahead of time. And she,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, whatever, yada, yada, yada. You're going to be a junior by the end of spring. And me in my head, I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, wait, what? I'm gonna be a who? So it goes by fast. Whatever you do now matters in the future. Maybe you think like, oh, I don't really want to take this class because I'm just so tired and whatever. But then you will, thank yourself for doing so in the future. So again, goes back to organizing and planning ahead and just, you know, I'm not saying you have to be like go, 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 go. It's definitely one of the things that I have worked on so much since I got to college because the go, 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 go at one point it like breaks you. Um,
Yeah.
Also, it's funny that you mentioned yoga. I feel like we're so similar, but so different at the same time. I also tried yoga. I tried mindful movements, and it was for one of the organizations that I'm in here in college. At least at UF, we
Mm-hmm.
had the opportunity to do different activities, yoga, kickboxing, anything you can think of for free at the gyms offered on campus. And one of the organizations, when I first joined, they in the spring they had like a social they call, which is like an event just to get all of us together and just kind of get to know each other before we work together. And it was yoga. We did mindful movements and it was awesome. I ended up going back with one of my best friends here on campus and we had so much fun. It was just relaxing. I left there and I was like, "Ooh, I feel like so much got off my shoulders." And I also realized how much flexibility I lost since high school. Um, but it was still so
Yeah.
fun. But I wanted to talk about midterms and that situation. How are you feeling about midterms since we already did them once or twice? Now, I don't remember if you were here for summer, but we did them, let's say like full semester, we did them once already. So how are you feeling about that? What did you do last time that you're doing different now? Or like, how are you doing with that?
I don't really have it any midterms this
Lucky.
semester either. I feel like honestly, it's scary that I don't have midterms to be honest, because that means one less grade that can count on the whole average. So that there's like majority of my classes have only like 3 to 4 tests at most, and that's like already half or 70% of the grade in the class. So it's like, oh, I kind of wish you wouldn't want to wish a midterm in high school because it's like a whole separate grade, at least in Florida. But here it's like, well, I wish I had an extra exam just in case I flunk one of them. But I'm definitely a little like on the edge of what would be the upcoming second tests for the semester. I have like the intro to philosophy one upcoming, and that can be kind of, yeah, I'm not gonna say hard, but definitely tricky because how do you study for philosophy, right? Um, but something that I have been doing differently, that's one thing in terms of studying, has actually taking notes and doing active recalling. I feel like in high school, it was so much easier to get away with simply memorizing rather than doing active recall because some of the classes didn't really require for you to understand the concepts and apply them. But in a lot of the classes that I currently have, you either memorize stuff in the long term or you have to learn how to apply a concept. And so I have found that when you do a lot of active recalling and practicing, especially for math, because I'm taking math this semester, I'm like, okay, I actually have to do this quiz and study for it, and then study for the exam and do a lot of different practices. So actually taking the time and not stressing over it too much, and actually taking the time that you would take when you're stressing over it and apply it into actually becoming better at learning the topic, which obviously takes time. But so as long as you are making sure that you have the information that you need, which can sometimes be tricky because some professors are just not helpful, but a lot of them are. When they give you study guides, use the study guide, right? Use the study guide, study it, time in advance. I advise at least a month or 2, 3 weeks in advance, or at least a week, minimum a week. And then you'll probably be fine. So as long as you actually get the topic. So that's what I've been doing so far. But definitely the hardest classes that I'm like worried about are those that I have to apply a concept for.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit on the harder side.
Yeah, I have tomorrow actually midterm upcoming. Um and it is history. I am not a history person at all. I
Oh,
don't like it. Um it's so hard for me to learn. There's so many terms and vocabulary and things that happen and dates and names, and I'm just not good with that. Um but our professor actually did give us a study guide, which the study guide has probably 100 terms. That's all, and 5 essay questions. That's all. So it's not a very helpful study guide. So when I looked at it, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do with this? And I started working on it, and I found a few friends in my class that we split it with, and then we're all doing different terms and stuff like that. So they say, work smarter, not harder, right? And that I take it as, be mindful of the things you can do rather than just putting so much pressure and just so much weight on your own shoulders. I'm not saying put weight on somebody else's shoulders, but if you distribute work, it just makes everything so much easier for everybody. And also, what I found that's helped me a lot, especially when doing better in exams, is when I am studying and I know I'm studying for too long already and I just need a break. I just sit down, I go on my iPad, I play some games, I watch a YouTube video, whatever. But I'm always mindful of the time. I don't go over it. Like, I know I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway, but that doesn't mean I just go full on, like, oh my God, I've been on my iPad playing for 3 hours. I take like 20, 30 minutes, depending on how long I've been studying for. And I just, kind of like de-stress for a little bit. And then I go back to studying. That's helped me a lot. Also the place where I study. If I'm locked up in a room and I try to study, it's just like at some point it just doesn't help. It doesn't help me to be studying in bed because I'm laying down and I just get tired. Um, there's a lot of places when you go to college where you can go outside and study. There's different parks, libraries. The libraries have helped me a lot. I usually go and book a room when I know I have a lot of work, and I just sit in a room by myself or with a couple of friends, and we just knock some work out. There's also a lot of green areas on campus. And I'm sure that's everywhere. Or even if you're at home, you don't have to be in college, to find a good place to study. Even if you're at home, you have a backyard, okay, take a chair, sit outside, go to the park with your friends, go to like an outside area, find some shade and just sit there, have a cup of water, maybe a couple snacks and stuff like that. And just like, I'm not saying enjoy studying because that is not going to happen with anybody. Nobody enjoys studying. They would much rather be doing something else. I know, but try to find the little things that will make it a little bit easier on yourself. And I don't mean content wise. Content wise, I mean it like just stress wise. If you're outside, you can take a little break and just look up or just breathe, and the air flows. If you're in a room, it's like you're in between four walls and it's just depressing. So why make it more depressing than it already is? um so I
yeah.
found that to be really helpful. Also meet up with friends to study, because whenever you need a break, you just put your computer aside for a little bit, chat for a little bit with your friends, and then you both get back to it. That's helped me a lot as well.
Yeah, I've definitely done that a lot. And actually, yesterday I was with one of my friends. We're not even in the same class. We're just in the same program, service scholars here at FSU, and we just study together.
Mhm.
And sometimes we go to the library. Sometimes we go to the den, which is just a Denny's here on campus. and we just study. Like, it's, I know it can be a little bit on the harder side if you're not in college, like on campus, or if you are doing remote schooling by any chance in terms of like college. Um, but something that I do advise is finding like a safe and nice environment for yourself, whether that is, well, some people I have seen here that they have a little space under their bed, which was surprising to me. But it's definitely something that they do. And if you feel like maybe your room is too hectic or too boring or too depressing, it might be a good idea to consider maybe, I don't know, if you live in an apartment and you live on floors or something along the lines of that, in terms of you're like in a high floor, consider the stairs maybe too. That could be something. I mean, you're gonna see like the flux of people coming in and out, but it might be somewhere where you can focus a little better and feel like you're in a different environment. And there's actually a psychological aspect behind all of this. When you find a specific place that you enjoy studying in, or when you're in a different space that doesn't involve any form of distraction that your brain is already used to, you're much more willing, like your brain psychologically is much more willing to be okay with doing work and not feel distracted. And something else that I used to struggle with a little more last semester is putting the phone down when I'm studying. It can be really hard because we're so used to having our phones by our sides and making sure that, no one's reaching out to us for any kind of reason. But sometimes you just got to put your phone down, like let the people know you, that you're going to be doing something. So don't reach out to me unless it's an emergency, and then just put your phone down. Maybe like put it away in your bag so you're not like likely to grab it because it's right on the table by you. So that's definitely something that I have been trying to work with, and something that I have seen that a lot of people do. And I do enjoy like going out and going into the green areas and studying. So as long as my laptop doesn't like become too hot, but it's definitely something that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of to wrap up, I wanted to kind of bring back together all these mindfulness points and just pieces of advice that we kind of talked about throughout the thing. I feel like that would be helpful since I know we talked about a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
And I want to remind you all that it does you don't have to be in college to apply those all these facts to your life. You could be middle
Right.
school, high school, elementary school. It doesn't matter, if you're at home, if you are with friends, if you're not with friends, if whoever you're with, wherever you are, these can still apply. So back to when we started, I feel like organization, being organized and planning ahead of time is very important. Just be mindful of time. Time goes by extremely quick. Another one was what was
Everything that you do right now matters. Genuinely, something that I also wanted to point out, because a lot of the things that we did in high school, we don't really think of too much when we're here
Mhm.
until we find ourselves being taken back to it. I have realized that my AP US history teacher was correct in terms of how a lot of the classes are taught here in college. It was like, well, you are going to teach yourself. You are reading the book and taking notes yourself, and then you're just going to be tested on it. And I'm like, whoa, this is not teacher style. And he was like, that's why I'm not a teacher. I'm your instructor. And I just thought that that was something that, you only see once you're actually in the situation where you are going to be learning a lot. And like you said, you can apply all of these things in terms of like finding a different area to study, or practicing mindful movements, even if you're not in college. I mean, there are some resources out there, and even if you can't take a yoga class, for example, or a Pilates class because they might cost some money, there's your phone, and there's so many great videos out there. I personally prefer to do all of those things, like mindful movements, by myself. So what I do is I just play a video of somebody that I think they know what they're doing, and then I just follow it along by myself. And I have found that it's free and it helps. If you're like scared of going out there with other people, then you could also do it by yourself and start out there somewhere. And again, like you said, uh, just finding a place and that you feel safe in, that you can study for. Something that I did struggle with was over planning. So the thing about planning is that if we plan too ahead, sometimes it can become overwhelming. But as long as you plan like slightly, so that if plan doesn't go, that's fine, and then you'll figure it out as you go along. But it's definitely something that anyone can do, and just know once again that everything that you do right now does matter. And I felt like that is very much highlighted when we realized that very soon we're not going to be freshmen anymore. And it is, in fact, very crazy to think about. So yeah, every day counts, and make every day count for yourself.
Mhm. And last but not
Mhm.
least, don't forget to ask for help again. It is very important if you are not able to do something or if you don't know a way around it, ask for help. And sometimes what I see happens to me is I don't need help. I just need support. I need someone to listen to me and to just let me vent and to just be there to tell me that everything's going to be okay. So don't be afraid to
Yeah.
ask for help. Maybe your parents, a teacher that you trust, a friend, anybody at all, a sibling or cousin, family, anybody that you're close with, that you just need to vent or to let stuff out. Just please do so, because it's very hard to just keep stuff by yourself, especially when you are alone in college without family close by. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, at first it will seem like, oh yeah, freedom, and then it's like, okay, I miss mom. So
Right.
but just be mindful of that. Be mindful of everything and everyone around you. Just know that not everybody is on the same page and everybody is doing their building their story at a different pace. So just be mindful of that, be aware of that, and just listen to your body. Like when you need a break, take it. When you need a physical break, take it. And yeah, just don't forget to stay mindful again, once again. But
Yes, of course.
we appreciate everybody coming here again and sitting down and listening to us. We take time out of our day to do these just because we find that it might be helpful to others, whether you are, just like I said before, in college, high school, whatever stage you are in life, even if you're an adult, these might help adults too. Um,
Right.
so yeah, until next episode, it is here with Bianca and Hillary. Hopefully we'll have Tatiana around for next time, but if not, we will be here again. And we wish everybody to have a beautiful day or night or tomorrow. And don't forget that for more resources, meditations, podcasts, activities, anything you might like, you can go to mindfulme.org, and that is mindful with two L's.
Yes, of course. And one little last thing, if you have not registered for spring retreat and you're in the Broward area, you definitely should go check it out at mindfulme.org and scan the link and register.
Yep,
Bye.
definitely do
Thank you
that. It'll
guys.
be a fun way to spend spring break. Awesome. Bye,
Of
everybody.
course. Bye bye.